Music is everywhere. We hear it in the chirping of birds, the hum of a city, and the laughter of children. But how do we capture these fleeting sounds and share them with others? How do we write down music so that it can be played again and again, long after the original performance has ended? The answer lies in the fascinating world of music notation. Like a secret code, music notation uses symbols and marks to represent sounds on a page. These symbols tell us the pitch of the notes, the duration, and how they should be played. Imagine trying to explain a beautiful melody to someone who has never heard it before. Without a way to write it down, the music would be lost forever as soon as the last note faded away. Music notation allows us to preserve these sonic treasures, ensuring that they can be enjoyed for generations to come. From the earliest attempts at capturing sound to the sophisticated systems we use today, the evolution of music notation is a testament to human ingenuity and our enduring love affair with music. Long before the development of modern music notation, ancient cultures around the world sought ways to preserve and transmit their musical traditions. These early attempts at music notation were often rudimentary, relying on visual cues and mnemonic devices, rather than precise symbols for pitch and rhythm. In ancient Mesopotamia, for example, clay tablets have been discovered with markings that are thought to represent musical instructions. These markings, known as cuneiform script, indicate that musicians used a system of relative pitch, indicating whether notes should be played higher or lower than the preceding ones. Similarly, in ancient Greece, music played a central role in society, and philosophers like Plato and Aristotle wrote extensively about its importance. The Greeks used a system of letter notation to represent different musical pitches, assigning specific letters to different notes within a scale. While these early forms of notation lacked the precision and complexity of later systems, they represent a crucial step in the development of music notation. They demonstrate a fundamental human desire to capture the essence of music and share it with others. As music became increasingly important in religious ceremonies, the need for a more reliable and standardized system of notation grew. It was within the walls of monasteries and churches that music notation took a significant leap forward, driven by the desire to preserve and transmit sacred chants and hymns. One of the earliest and most influential systems of musical notation emerged in Europe around the 9th century AD. Known as numes, these symbols were initially simple marks placed above the text of liturgical chants to indicate the general shape of the melody. Like gentle hills and valleys on a musical landscape, numes guided the singers' voices, reminding them of the familiar contours of the chant. Over time, numes became more elaborate, with scribes adding dots, lines, and other symbols to indicate specific pitches and rhythmic patterns. This gradual evolution led to the development of staff notation, a system that used horizontal lines to represent different pitches, with each line representing a specific note. Singers could now see the exact intervals between the notes and perform the chants with greater accuracy and consistency. The development of staff notation was a major breakthrough in the history of music, but it was still a far cry from the sophisticated system we use today. For 200 years before Guido d'Arezzo, pneumatic notation was used to indicate pitch direction and vocal inflections. It was not until the 11th century that a Benedictine monk named Guido d'Arezzo revolutionized music notation with his invention of solmization and the Guidonian hand. Guido recognized that singers struggle to study and remember the different pitches on the staff. To simplify the process, he devised a system of assigning syllables to each note of a scale. These syllables, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, and ti, provided singers with a mnemonic device, making it easier to identify and sing the correct pitches. Guido's other groundbreaking invention, the Guidonian hand, was a visual aid that helped singers learn and remember the notes. By associating different parts of his hand with specific pitches, Guido created a simple yet effective way for singers to visualize the intervals between notes and sing them accurately. Section 5. The rise of the black dots. While Guido's innovations greatly improved the precision of pitch notation, rhythm remained a challenge. Early forms of notation provided some indication of rhythmic patterns, but they lacked a precise way to represent the duration of individual notes. During the 13th century, a new system of rhythmic notation emerged, known as mensural notation. This system introduced different note shapes, such as the breve, semi-breve, and minim, to represent specific durations. These note shapes, often resembling black dots of varying sizes, provided composers with a more precise way to notate rhythmic values. Mensural notation also introduced the concept of meter, which organized musical time into regular groups of beats. By combining different note values within a metrical framework, composers could create more complex and varied rhythmic patterns. The development of mensural notation marked a significant step towards the modern system of rhythmic notation we use today. Section 6. Sharing the music, spreading the joy. For centuries, music notation remained the domain of trained scribes and musicians, confined within the walls of monasteries and aristocratic courts. However, the invention of the printing press in the 15th century revolutionized the way music was disseminated, making it accessible to a wider audience. With the advent of music printing, composers could now share their works with a larger public, leading to a flourishing of musical creativity and innovation. No longer reliant on handwritten copies, musicians could access and perform a wider variety of music than ever before. The printing press also led to the standardization of music notation. As music publishers sought to create editions that could be used by musicians across Europe, they adopted consistent conventions for notation, making it easier for musicians from different regions to understand and perform the same pieces. Section 7. From Baroque to Classical, a Symphony of Notation. The Baroque era, roughly 1600 to 1750, witnessed a surge in musical innovation, with composers like Johann Sebastian Bach and George Friedrich Handel pushing the boundaries of harmony, form, and instrumental music. This period also saw further refinements in music notation, as composers demanded greater precision and expressiveness from performers. One significant development was the standardization of key signatures. By placing sharps or flats at the beginning of a piece of music, composers could indicate the key of the music and avoid having to repeat these accidentals throughout the score. This innovation not only saved time and space, but also made it easier for performers to understand the harmonic structure of the music. The classical era, roughly 1750 to 1820, saw the rise of composers like Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart and Ludwig van Beethoven, who further expanded the expressive possibilities of music. The notation of dynamics, indications of loudness and softness, became more refined during this period, with composers using a wider range of dynamic markings to shape the emotional arc of their music. Section 8. The Romantic Era. Expressing the unspoken. The Romantic Era, roughly 1820 to 1900, was a time of intense emotional expression in music. Composers like Franz Schubert, Johannes Brahms, and Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky explored the full spectrum of human emotions in their works, from the depths of despair to the heights of ecstasy. To capture these nuanced emotions, composers relied heavily on expressive markings in their scores. Italian terms like dolce, sweetly, con fuoco, with fire, and appassionato, passionately, became commonplace, providing performers with insights into the composer's emotional intent. The Romantic era also saw the development of increasingly complex and virtuosic instrumental writing. To meet these demands, composers developed new notational techniques for indicating specific playing techniques, such as bowing directions for string instruments and pedaling instructions for piano. Section 9. The Digital Revolution. As we moved into the 21st century, the landscape of music notation began to change dramatically with the advent of digital technology. Software like Finale, Sibelius, and MuseScore revolutionized the way composers and musicians write, edit, and share music. These programs offer a wide array of tools that make the process of notating music faster and more precise than ever before. Digital notation has also opened up new possibilities for collaboration. Musicians can now easily share their scores online, allowing for real-time feedback and collaborative composition, regardless of geographical location. This has led to an explosion of creativity as artists from diverse backgrounds come together to create new and innovative works. Moreover, digital notation has made music education more accessible. Online platforms offer interactive tutorials and exercises that help students understand the intricacies of music theory and notation. These resources are invaluable for learners who may not have access to traditional music instruction. While the core principles of music notation remain unchanged, digital technology continues to expand the horizons of what is possible, making music more inclusive and collaborative than ever before. Section 10. Notation today, a universal language. From its humble beginnings as simple markings to guide singers, music notation has evolved into a sophisticated system capable of representing the full complexity of musical thought. Today, music notation is a universal language that transcends cultural and linguistic barriers, allowing musicians from all over the world to share their creative visions. While technology has brought about new ways to create and share music, traditional music notation remains an essential tool for musicians of all levels. From the aspiring student learning their first scales to the seasoned professional performing a complex concerto, music notation provides a roadmap for musical exploration and expression. As we look to the future of music, it's clear that notation will continue to play a vital role in shaping the sounds of tomorrow. Just as the invention of the printing press democratized access to music in the past, so too will new technologies continue to push the boundaries of how we create, share, and experience music. Thanks for watching.